World War I, a story of humanity, resilience, and the dawn of a new world. There are moments in human history when the world seems to hold its breath, moments when societies, cultures, and nations stand at a crossroads that will define everything that follows. World War I is one of those defining moments, a turning point that reshaped borders, transformed global politics, and changed the way humanity understood conflict, cooperation, and survival. Although more than a century has passed, the echoes of that era continue to resonate in ways we can still observe today. To understand the roots of this massive historical shift, we must step back to a time when Europe was full of competing ambitions, rising nationalism, and delicate alliances that seemed stable on the surface yet were fragile beneath. The story begins not with a single event but with an atmosphere, a world growing increasingly tense as nations strengthened their militaries, expanded their influence, and viewed one another with a mixture of rivalry and caution. Into this tense environment came the event that would accelerate everything: the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914. Although this act alone did not create the war, it acted as the spark that ignited long-standing conflicts and triggered alliances in rapid succession. Nations that had promised to defend one another found themselves drawn into a chain reaction that none could easily stop. What followed was a conflict unlike anything the world had ever seen, involving millions of people and stretching across continents, reshaping daily life for both soldiers and civilians. As we explore this story together, we will look deeper into what life was truly like during that time, the decisions made by leaders, the struggles experienced by ordinary individuals, and the ways the world adapted to challenges that were both unexpected and overwhelming. This journey is not about focusing on violence, but about understanding how humanity faced a period of extraordinary difficulty and how it influenced the world we know now. If you enjoy historical explorations like this, stories that connect the past to the present and help us see the world through a wider lens, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support allows us to continue creating thoughtful and respectful content that brings history to life in a meaningful way. Together, let us uncover the deeper layers of one of the most transformative periods in human history and discover why the story of World War I still matters today. To understand the true scale and emotional depth of World War I, we must imagine a world that believed progress was unstoppable, a world that entered the 20th century with confidence in science, industry, and human potential. Yet beneath this optimism lay rivalries, ambitions, and fears that quietly intertwined, creating an environment where even a single event could turn tension into something far larger. As nations competed for influence and built stronger militaries, citizens across Europe sensed change in the air without knowing how dramatic and far-reaching it would become. When the conflict began, many believed it would end quickly, expecting a brief demonstration of power rather than a prolonged test of endurance. But what unfolded was a conflict that reshaped the very idea of war and left deep marks on every society involved. Across the continent, enormous trench networks were constructed, stretching in long, winding lines across fields that had once been peaceful landscapes. These trenches became temporary homes for countless individuals who had grown up with dreams far from the realities they now faced. Days blurred into nights as people learned to adjust to unfamiliar environments, working together, sharing limited supplies, and relying on one another for encouragement during moments of intense uncertainty. Communication technologies carried messages between command centers and front lines, allowing leaders to coordinate strategies that would influence events across entire regions. Meanwhile, innovations such as aircraft began to play larger roles in gathering information, reshaping how nations understood distance and speed. As the story continued, the emotional landscape of those involved grew increasingly complex. Many individuals found strength in friendship, discovering that companionship could be a powerful source of comfort, while communities back home adapted to shortages, new responsibilities, and the constant awareness that life could change at any moment. Factories worked tirelessly, producing supplies needed for distant fronts, while families awaited news that arrived slowly and unpredictably. Although the conflict touched many regions, its impact on civilians demonstrated how interconnected the world had become, as events in one location influenced lives far beyond national borders. Global involvement expanded as new countries entered the conflict, each bringing unique perspectives and motivations. The entry of the United States in 1917 added fresh momentum, providing resources and personnel that shifted the balance in several areas. At the same time, empires in Europe began to feel the strain of prolonged participation, as economic pressure and changing public sentiment reshaped internal politics. International relationships evolved as leaders negotiated alliances, sought compromises, and considered the long-term consequences of their decisions. Across the front lines, individuals continued to adapt to evolving strategies, new technologies, and challenges that tested their resilience in ways they had never imagined. What makes this period particularly compelling is not only the historical scale but the human stories behind it, the letters exchanged across continents, the hopes people held onto during difficult nights, the determination to protect friends and support communities. These stories reveal that even during moments of immense difficulty, humanity consistently searched for meaning, connection, and hope. They remind us that large historical events are shaped by countless individuals, each navigating circumstances that demanded courage and adaptability. Their experiences contribute to our understanding of how society evolves and how people find ways to persevere. By the final year of the conflict, exhaustion had affected nearly every nation involved. Yet the desire to protect the future pushed negotiations forward, leading to discussions that slowly shaped the terms of peace. Although the conflict officially concluded through agreements that signaled an end to active fighting, its influence continued to unfold long afterward. The restructuring of borders, changes in leadership, and shifts in public thought created new landscapes for diplomacy, economics, and culture. As the global community emerged from the long years of World War I, the world found itself standing at a crossroads, facing possibilities that were both inspiring and uncertain. Many societies began to rebuild, drawing on strength that had developed during challenging years. People returned to homes that had changed in subtle and profound ways, reconnecting with family, restoring towns, and rediscovering the rhythm of everyday life. These moments of renewal were filled with reflection, because the conflict had reshaped values, beliefs, and expectations about the future. Nations entered a period of re-evaluation, seeking new approaches to cooperation and diplomacy. Leaders gathered to negotiate principles they hoped would ensure lasting peace, believing that dialogue, shared responsibility, and understanding among nations could help prevent future crises. While these efforts reflected genuine hopes, they also demonstrated the complexity of maintaining peace in a world facing rapid political and social changes. The agreements created during this time would influence international relationships for years to come, showing that even moments of resolution require ongoing commitment and communication. Communities everywhere worked to heal emotionally as well as physically. People shared stories, honored memories, and sought comfort in the knowledge that they had endured a defining moment in history. Artistic movements grew, expressing the emotions of a generation shaped by deep transformation. Literature, music, and public discussions reflected both the hardship of the past and the determination to build a more thoughtful and compassionate future. These cultural expressions helped societies understand their experiences, forming bridges between the past and the world that was gradually emerging. Families focused on rebuilding routines and nurturing a sense of hope for younger generations. Schools opened their doors again, teaching lessons not only in academics but in empathy and cooperation. Communities organized events to bring people together, emphasizing unity after years of separation and uncertainty. Everyday life slowly regained familiarity, yet it carried new meaning because people recognized the value of stability, friendship, and shared purpose. At the global level, the aftermath of the conflict encouraged nations to think critically about diplomacy, communication, and the responsibilities that come with power. Although differences remained, there was a growing awareness that the choices made by leaders could influence the world in profound ways. This awareness became a guiding force for new institutions and agreements designed to support peace and mutual understanding. While these efforts were not perfect, they represented a significant shift in how nations approached international cooperation. As we look back today, the legacy of World War I reminds us not only of challenges but also of resilience, innovation, and the enduring human capacity for hope. The stories of individuals who lived through that era continue to inspire reflection, reminding us of the importance of communication, compassion, and thoughtful leadership. These lessons remain valuable as we navigate modern challenges, because they encourage us to consider how our actions shape the future. Thank you for joining this journey through one of history's most transformative periods. If you enjoyed this story and would like to explore more deep, meaningful, and thoughtfully crafted content, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows us to continue creating educational stories that illuminate the past and offer insight into our shared humanity. Wishing you a peaceful night filled with comfort and rest. Good night.